Here we are, spawning in the bottom left. Excuse me, the upper left. In the blue, he is, of course, representing the Afrika Freaks. The Shield of Ire himself. Stats. And his opponent up in the bottom right in the red. For Good Game Gaming, Dream. Yeah, it's pretty nice, Destined. You get your, well, not necessarily GSL group, because at this point we're in the playoffs, but you get some awesome GSL games. And then, well, your StarCraft's not done. You can just tune into this immediately. And watch yet more StarCraft of a similar quality. Maybe not similar quality commentators. That's up for you to understand. Well, actually I know it's not, because I'm only by myself, and it's always nicer to have a double cast, or have a co-caster. I think the cast in general will just be better, regardless. But anyway, that being said, we do have looks to be just kind of your standard Reaper expand coming out here from Dream, and a Gate Cyber expand from our blue Protoss player. Actually, I guess it was more of a Gate Nexus Cyber, so pretty much one of the faster Nexus that you can get. I mean, it's not Nexus first, but it's close enough. And yeah, of course, as Sushi does point out in chat, make sure you do click on the Match Arena link. Use the code Ignition6. That adds 50 cents for free. I don't know how many. I don't know how many codes are left, but I imagine there are some. And I'm just hearing the continuous thumping sound outside of my window. I thought that was gone from. I thought we were finally in spring. I mean, it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit like a week ago. No, 2 days ago. But anyway. Really, what I'm curious is, what is the paradigm that Dream is going to fall into in this game, right? So he has gone Reaper double Marine into the reactor. So this is like one of the later reactors possible, but it does mean that he's not going to take any damage from this oncoming Adept pressure. So that's going to be rather nice. Here's this Adept. We'll find a Reaper and find a bunch of Marines on the high ground. So yeah, this Adept will be warded on back. And with the bunker here, well, nothing much is going to get done. Now, stat first part, he's going for a blink build here, and I don't know how many gates he's going to add quite yet. Of course, the math says 2-gate blink. Okay, defensive. It means just about a 4-minute third base. 3-gate blink. Oh, this Adept will get on in, but no, the Marines are there. Totally fine. 3-gate blink means, okay, I want to get some pressure done, but no big deal either way. And, of course, 4-gate blink is the whole, yeah, I'm going to go try to kill you, and if I don't, I'm going to be a little bit sad. So it looks like it's only going to be 2-gate blink for now, as we do have the Robo go on down and no additional gateways. As there we go. Third base going to go down at 345-ish. Looks like what stats is getting ready for him. 340. Okay. And now it looks like for the other side of the map here, Dream going for a Widowmine drop. So he's going to try to maybe punish stats for being greedy. You know, the Reaper Hellion will try to dive on in here. There is no wall, so the Hellion and the Reaper will find their way on into the natural. But I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of anything die. One probe goes down, but now the Reaper... okay, it's going to get 3 workers. That's going to be very nice. And it's going to go into the main base, get a good scout off of everything. And find out that, yes, there is a Chronode Twilight Council on the way. So that's going to give him pretty much every little bit of information he wants to know. He's seen the entire base. He has seen, well, the entire both bases. So he knows there are only 2 gateways. I don't know if he knows that there's a third base, but he could assume that there's a third base. And he knows that Blink is on the way. But also Stats has done a fantastic job of building map vision, and he of course will see that this Widowmine drop is coming. So what's Dream gonna do? Well, most likely he's just gonna sit here. You know, the idea is that while, you know, you want to get some damage with these Widowmine drops, and that's always useful. Actually, no, he's gonna find his way into the main base. And while Blink is done, the Stalker's just out of position. Oh, look at that, Dream taking a really roundabout path. One Widowmine will go off, and oh, 3 workers and a Stalker. That is actually really good damage there for Dream. A second Widowmine though, it's not really going to get much of anything. So 4 workers for 2 Widowmines and a Stalker. Yeah, that's actually a surprising amount of stuff damage, but Stats a little bit late on his low ground pull. Maybe thinking he had enough Stalkers to deal with it. So behind this, Templar Archives are on the way, and a Forge. So we're going to see a charge lot based style here coming in from stats for the time being, and I do like that against what Dream has decided to go for, because this is going to be 3 racks pressure. +1 stim combat shield timing for the good game gaming Terran. As his entire goal is to put some pressure on, right? Is to maybe knock down the third base of stats to punish him for being somewhat economical focused. And on the Stalkers, they do blink on the main base, but of course that does mean that they don't have a second blink. And with no War Prism here, their damage potential is not nearly as powerful as it might otherwise be. So now, Stim is of course on the way, combat shields are on the way, +1 about halfway done, which means that Dream, he's going to be able to move out around 6:45, 7 minutes, move out across the map, start getting some damage done. Meanwhile, of course, that third base is going to go down at just the same time. Of course, the goal here for Stats with his army is going to be to delay Dream as much as possible. Shave off a couple Marines, shave off a couple Marauders, do whatever he can to make sure that the army that's moving across the map is not going to be nearly as powerful as it would otherwise be. And notice here, Dream is leading with his Marauders, right? He moves the Marines forward to try to do some damage, but he's leading with the Marauders. And this is actually going to be 5 barracks with the third command center. So normally, you get your third base up and running, and then you add those additional 2 racks. But not now. And now Dream, he's going to try to find this army, chase it down. But of course, this is also delaying his timing. Well, actually, no, I guess he just moved out early enough that it's not. So this is a very scary army coming out in here from Dream. And honestly, the Stalkers have only gotten 1 Marine, which is not nearly enough. So we're going to have auto-turret harassment as well, because Stats is focused on the main army. But no, he's going to be totally fine. He will not be dissuaded. And this auto-turret's not really going to get a whole lot done. So now we're going to see the Bio Stim on forward here. Stim is done, of course. And, well, we do have a bunch of High Templar. And Storm is actually done. I did not realize that was done in time. So Storm is going to do a really good job of holding this off because, well, you stim a bunch of Bio. And they take a bunch of damage. Alright, so now we have this drop. It's going to go on into the net. I would love to see this drop go on into the natural and target the +1 down, but no. That's not going to be the name of the game here. And actually, Dream is just going to give up. He says, okay, well, you have Storm. It's time for me to start dropping, right? Because Storm is a fantastic defensive utility in straight-up engagements. It's a little bit less bad, a little bit less good when we're looking at dealing with drop play here. So now the drop's going to go up into the main base, or excuse me, into the natural, and immediately Stats is going to react, and Dream's going to back on up here. Auto-turret not going to get a whole lot done either. Stats playing a really powerful defensive game. And yes, he's the Shield of Ire. Yes, this is what he is known for. But it still bears pointing out because it is a very strong defensive game. Yes, he's lost 4 probes early, and that's a little bit more than you would expect. Normally, you would expect it to be about the 2 to 3 range. But since then, I mean, all of this attempted harass has gotten, what, a couple Stalkers? The pylons on the map that you kind of expect to lose anyways. Although, Stats does need to rebuild those pylons because he's about to get supply blocked. Huh. Stats is gonna waste a couple storms on Widow Mines. I guess, you know, Widow Mines are a powerful threat. You want to make sure that they don't kill off your army. And with the lack of an observer, maybe you say, okay, well, you know, Storm is gonna be good enough splash, and eventually I will have more storms anyways, so no big deal. But as this game stabilizes, I guess we call it stabilizing, as this game normalizes, as this game gets a little bit slower for the time being. Well, as I said, the drops here from Dream's trying to get these drops working. But it just really isn't working yet. So we double drop here on the right-hand side, triple drop on the left. And Dream does have a lot of army, don't get me wrong. I mean, he is up 20 army supply, but 20 army supply does not really a significant advantage in this stylistic matchup make. Not really. Because Charge is very good against inferior or superior numbers of bio. Storm does a fantastic job of, well, clearing away everything. But, you know, Dream does have Ghosts. And he does have Vikings, which will mean that this Warp Prism with a bunch of High Templar are going to be doubly nullified. As now Dream getting ready to move out on the map just a little bit, as he has, of course, started his 4th base. Now, we got so we got the quad drop moving up into the main base here. Stats not quite reacting in time, and the additional 2 medevacs are going to go on in. So this is effectively a Doom drop in 2 forms here, as the army's going to go on in. Chargeless is going to get on top of things. The storms are going to be decent. Disruptor shots are going to go off, and yes, Dream will be forced back. But meanwhile, 8 workers have died in the 3rd base. And, well, yeah, Dream is doing a fantastic job here. He's finally getting that damage he's been looking for the... Actually, no, he's getting even more. This is I don't know if it's game-ending damage, but it's certainly insane damage here. As the drop on the outside of the third base, killing off so much here. The drop in the natural, 25 probes have died. And now Stats from a macro lead finds himself in a macro deficit. As actually, it looks like they were just about even. But now, well, of course, 44 workers to 69. Nice. So it looks like on the other side of the map, we do have a storm drop coming on in here, but it's only 6 workers. Only 7 workers will go on down, so that's not nearly the type of damage that Dream just inflicted. Now Stats, he's going to find himself in a bit of a hard place. Right, he has a powerful army, to be sure. Storm is very nice. Charge Lot Archon is a powerful composition, or Charge Lot Archon Disruptor is a powerful composition indeed, but Dream has an equal number of bases to his opponent. Dream has 15 more workers than his opponent, and he has mules. If we look at relative income here, well, okay, when the pull happened, wasn't all that. When the worker pull happened, it did equalize for a moment, but after that, I mean, we're going to see just about like 1,000, 1,500 resource differential here. Now, the one, I don't know, saving grace here for Stats is he does have DT Blink on the, well, I guess multiple saving graces. His army is actually rather good, but he does have a DT Blink on the way here. And that is, in fact, something, right? Oh, the first Ghost is going to get found out here. But unfortunately, Stats did not really have his army on hold position. So a decent amount of those Zealots were siphoned off before the main engagement. And that, well, we have the Warp Prism on the other side of the map. And I believe that is where all the High Templar are. No, where are the High Templar? Oh, they're at the bases? Oh, yeah, they're just outside the bases. Okay. But now we have a Zealot run by into the third base here. Will not be successful. Well, it looks like actually yeah, they should be able to knock that tank off. Never mind. And looks like we're gonna have a secondary drop into the main base. Of course, there are missile turrets, and there are yeah, the Vikings will just knock that down. The Zealots, they're getting something, but it's a distraction, nothing more. So now Dream's army on the right hand side going to try to get something done here. Meanwhile, Dream, he's got a drop outside the fourth base, getting something tremendous damage done there as well. It's a triple medevac drop. And Stats, while he looked good in the early game defending this, looks like it's not going to be good enough here as we have the Disruptors are going to get carbon bombed. Mass EMP'd, but well, there's just not enough in this army for that really to work out here. As this drop, once again, is going to get knocked off. But, I mean, that's just 2 armies. Dream has like 3 more where that came from. So we'll find this fourth base. EMPs are going to be very nice. That does mean, of course, the High Templar, well, there are not a lot of storms out for the moment, as we do have enhanced shockwaves, we do have EMPs. And Disruptors are going to be the name of the game here. That is what is going to keep Stats safe for the time being. But Liberators are on the way. Liberator range is on the way. 5th base on the way here for Dream. And that's where things get even scarier, because yes, Stats has been able to rebuild his worker count. He's at 74. He's up 8, or up 6. That being said, though, income. When mules drop, it's a bit of a scary thought here. So now we do have this drop coming on in once again, and Stats once again is going to take damage. This Archon is going to get targeted down first and foremost. It's just a bunch of charge lots against a bunch of bio, and that's never going to work out there for the Terran player, or excuse me, for the Protoss player. As now 3-3 is just about done for Dream as well, and yeah, he will find the space that Stats is trying to build. And the DT Blink, maybe, actually, well, Dream is going to be a little bit slow on the repair there, but now he's going to have the repair. It's not going to be, it's actually going to be enough here. It's not going to be enough for Stats. GG Dream. And of course, the one thing that we do know is that Gengar is very happy. Because, well, his prize Terran has in fact killed Stats in the first game of the series. So, Gengar, of course, is celebrating, but we're going to have to see whether he can celebrate a little bit more. Whether Dream is going to take the clean 2-0, or whether Stats has it within him to fight back. Now, Stats, he was looking very good at the outset of that game. He did not take any damage from the first, like, 3 waves of pressure. But unfortunately, that extra drop, outside of the third base, well, that caused a little bit of issues. But look at the Stats. It looks like he's going for the parting build. So, of course, that does mean that there is going to be a gate proxied right here, and there's going to be another gate proxied at home. It's going to be 3-gate pressure off of a natural. And this is something that was killing, like, every Terran back in Katowice. And then it kind of fell off the map. I didn't see it quite as much. But we're going to have to see how impactful that is going to be here, as Stats is going to hide his probe. Okay, there we go. Oh, Stargate. Okay, never mind. So, proxy Stargate, but also proxy Starport, as both players seem to be very interested in proxying their flying units across the map, and actually very similar locations too. Both outside of that, that 9, 3 o'clock, 4th base? 5th base? I'm actually not too sure about the expansion patterns on this map quite yet. I haven't played enough games on it, and I haven't seen enough games on it either. But anyway, that base, sure, we're going to call it the 9, 3 o'clock line. Both players proxying their flying units right outside of there. And you know what? This actually is going to do a fairly decent amount of damage. There are no Marines in this mineral line. So Oracle's going to fly on into the main base here. So a couple Marines are going to try to get some damage done. But, okay, this actually, Stats' Oracle control is maybe not quite as good as he would like it to be. But even still, 6 SCVs will go on down. Oracle will not take all that much damage. But now, of course, we're going to have to see whether Dream can do the damage as well. It's going to be three Hellions and a Reaper, interestingly enough. Normally, you don't see the Reaper added onto this little bit of pressure. But yeah, you're right. They do kind of look like Liberators. But anyway, now we have the Hellion Reaper drop coming on in, and it looks like we're going to see Widow Mines behind that, and a Viking as well. Make sure this Oracle doesn't get any more damage done. So the Reaper, the Hellions, they're going to dive on in here, and Stats. I mean, this is a proxy Stargate build. That means that he's not going to have he's going to have barely anything at home. So 5 workers go down immediately. We're going to go up to 8 at the very least. The question is, though, is whether we get more. 9 workers will go on down, and now we're going to see everything get picked up. The Hellions, of course, they are still alive, and 3 Hellions, 1 taps the probes, line them up. 10 workers do go on down here. Dream, he's trying to find as much damage as possible. The medevac, of course, is going to get targeted down, and it looks like that's going to be the extent of things. 10 workers in exchange for 6, so not quite as impactful as it would otherwise be, because, well, the Oracle got some damage done in exchange. But at the end of the day, Stats sitting here on equal workers with his Terran opponent. Dream does have a 3rd base on the way. And that actually is going to be incredibly good there for our red Terran player. Oh no, the Oracle. Yep, it's just going to find the Widow Mine. Okay. Oracle pressure is now done. So at this point, actually this is going to be fairly good for Dream, even if he did take some damage early on, as this Hellion will get targeted down eventually. There we go. The Hellion threat from the map is now dead. It's gone. No need to worry about that, Stats. Not anymore. Now it's Stats' turn once again to resume his aggression. This is, of course, 3-gate blink off of a proxy Stargate, and then there's a 3rd base on the way. So kind of a hodgepodge of a macro style and aggressive style. And it's working out for Stats thus far. So he will find this starport. I don't think he's going to be able to kill it. But yeah, he will find it at the very least. And of course, with the Widow Mines here, with the Marines and the tank, this really should not be a killer move here from Stats. And of course, Dream does have his 3rd base done. It's not on location yet, but that's totally fine here. Generally, as a Terran, even when you do get that 3rd base done at a even quicker time, you're not going to go take it out on the map yet. That's a 3rd place to defend. And when we look at the aggressive options that a Protoss player does have, well, it doesn't feel all that great to do that too early. You just take advantage of having triple mules and doing all that. Oh, wait a minute here. I'm sorry. Okay, so here's what happened. One stalker blinked on top of one or 2 stalkers, I believe, blinked on top of all of the Marines, which triggered the Widow Mine, which meant a lot of the Marines took a lot of damage. And then I believe a Wayward Tank Shot finished that off. Yeah, that Wayward Tank Shot finished that off. So that was actually a really cool play there from Stats, using the splash damage of Dream against him. I wish we'd seen that a little bit faster. But anyways, despite that, we will have Stats here. He's just posturing on the map at this point, keeping his 3rd base alive by dint of his own pressure. So we do have 5 more gateways on the way. Storm is a 3rd of the way done, plus 1 on the way, charge on the way. So Stats playing the similar style that he played in the last game. And honestly, it was looking very good for him until it wasn't, which, you know, is something that you can say about every style, to be totally honest. But it really was looking good for stats. He was taking no damage, he had his army split appropriately. One of the benefits of that style that he was going for is it's a little bit easier to defend multi-prong harass, because you just have a lot of small stuff instead of a small amount of big stuff. And that, of course, does make it a little bit easier to split your army appropriately. But now, of course, the bio here will find this proxy Stargate as, well, stats is actually just going to lead him directly to it. Don't know if that was intentional or not, but at the end of the day, it does mean the Stargate will not be useful. I mean, Stat's not really building anything out of it anyways. That stage of the game is done, but it's going to be depowered. There's not going to be a warp in position from that anymore. But now Dream has been able to break out of that minor contain that Stats was inflicting upon him. His third base is now on location. Mules are getting dropped, and now we're getting on into the mid game. Dream. He's got a 30 army supply lead. He doesn't have an upgrade lead for the next 5 seconds, but I mean, well, it's only 5 seconds. And we should see a second eBay get started soon, an armory as well. And Dream, look, oh, Dream taking advantage of how kind of choked out, turtled up this base is, or this map is. He's going to take a 4th base very quickly. And I do like this for Dream. I don't know if he is scouted that what his opponent is going for quite yet. Well, now he is. He's going to see all the charge lots. And, you know, honestly, okay, he does need to pick this up. He does need to retreat from this. That is going to be a lot of army that he's just going to lose right now. But anyway, one of the upsides, or one of the downsides, I guess, of this style that Stats has opted to go for, is the fact that it has to get, it really is good against an aggressive Terran. It's not nearly as good against a Terran that is turtling up. So anyway, Stats is going to try to break things here. Storms are going to go on down here. Tanks free firing. The Storms are not going to be incredible. The bio is starting to go on down, but these tanks are firing strong, and the Viking is doing a pretty good job of shelling away at the medevac. Meanwhile, or the War Prism, excuse me. Meanwhile, this one Marine has got like 3 probes. So that's already more damage than Stats was able to achieve, which is kind of funny if you think about it. Yeah, I worry that we're going to have one of those games where the Protoss player says, yes, I have more money, I have more bases, I have a strong army, I'm just going to go try to smash myself into you until you die. Dream is getting a 5th command center. Dream is just playing... Oh, man, this is actually really cool. So Dream is playing that style pretty much that TY played on Death Aura, GSL Season 1 against Parting, where it's like, okay, well, I'm not ever going to attack into you. I know the style of game you're playing here. I'm just going to keep expanding. I'm going to keep building bases as we have a storm drop coming on in. Dream is going to be on top of these. 4 storms will land, but 4 storms for 8 probes, or excuse me, 8 SCVs. I don't know that that is worth it. Not really, especially considering this War Prism. Actually, is there War Prism speed? There isn't. So this War Prism is in a decent amount of danger here as the Vikings are looking for it. And if they cut it off in the pass, if they cut it off at the corner, that is going to be 4 dead High Templar and a dead War Prism. The Vikings, they're gonna find it. Oh no, this is why you don't do this anymore. So the Templar, of course, will well, they're gonna get recalled. Only the War Prism does die. Okay, not terrible. But anyway, enhanced shockwaves are on the way. 2-2 on the way as well. So for the moment here, Stats does have an upgrade lead. He does have a very powerful army. But how many tanks do we have here from Dream? That's the button I was looking for. So 4 tanks. We have more on the way. In addition, jeez, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely insane. We are going to have 6 command centers on the map by 12 minutes. That's a command center every 2 minutes, which is very, very surprising indeed. So yes, Stats is notionally a base up in terms of actually mining from his bases, but I mean, there are so many mules, so many scans here on the map that, yeah. Dream is going to have a lot of money very soon, as he will equalize the upgrades leads, or the upgrades as well. Personal cloaking on the way, +1 tank attack on the way here. He doesn't even really care about getting +1 air attack, not for the time being. And a second Ghost Academy. Dream determined to take this game as late as possible, and that makes sense, right? 2,000 atmospheres is a rather choked off map. It is a map that is difficult to really kill anyone. I think it's going to be in a very similar idea to Death Aura in that you do kind of get 4 bases for free. And, I mean, the chokes are small across the map. It's kind of like Submarine in that way. So another command center, because Dream is not going to have enough here. Once again, we're approaching one command center every 2 minutes. Again, that is an insane expansion path. I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. So we do have stats posturing here on the right and left hand side of the map, trying to see whether there's something that he can maybe get done. But I think he realizes, geez, a third command? Dream! This is ludicrous. But I think he's starting to realize that he won't really be able to break the Terran on this map, not with the style that Dream has been playing. So we do have Stargates on the way. We have one already done, of course, but more on the way here, and a Fleet Beacon as well. Stats will try to take this fight on the right-hand side, but 2-2 bio, lots of it, and EMPs say no to that. But Stats here, he's going for Stargate. He's going for most likely carriers, +1 air attack is on the way, and we have shields as well. So this is most likely going to be carriers here. And that is a really cool move, actually. That's not something you always see in late game PvT, but I do think it is the right move here. Now we have nukes on the way, and oh, okay, so the pull is going to be good. Yeah, but yeah, okay, there we go, EMP Storm. Nuke's actually not going to be good because, well, to observe, yeah, Stats is building observers 2 at a time. He has 5 on the map. He's going up to 7 observers. Huh. But anyway, observers coming out 2 at a time here, as we will see 4 carriers at a time as well. As now Stats finally he's taking his 5th base, but Dream, he's taken his 5th base already, and he has more command centers on the way. Let's take a look at this. So we have 3 command centers, 5 orbitals, and a planetary. So we have, what is that? 9 total mining bases right now, and we have another one on the way. You said he needs at least 10 command, well, I guess 10 more command centers, okay. But now we're also at the point here where this drop actually is going to be able to get a tremendous amount of damage done, although those EMPs and storms are going to be very nice. Never mind, it's not going to get a lot done. I was going to say, there's not a lot of army here, and you can't really reinforce, but these disruptor shots are going to blow up all the tanks, and suddenly Stats looks like he's found an opening. Yeah, Dream has done a fantastic job of defending thus far. But he just lost a lot of tanks. He only has 3 tanks on the map right now, but now the stim's going to come on in, and that does mean this Archon will get targeted down here. And this drop, well, it's not going to be all that impactful. Stalker's going to blink onto the right-hand side here, trying to knock down a couple of these medevacs. And now Dream, from chasing, he will be forced back, as more and more charge lots will find their way on top of things. EMPs, though, are going to be fairly nice, but the disruptor shots will eventually force him back. Okay. After all that trading, where do we stand? Well, Stats has a lot more money than Dream does, and he's gonna, well, we're gonna see Dream keep mining here, or excuse me, keep scanning, trying to see what his opponent is up to. And I don't know whether he has seen the, I don't know whether he's seen the carriers yet. And then once again, we do have that nuke going on into the natural. Once again, it will get canceled. But no, never mind, it won't. Okay, nuke will go on down here. So we have a run by on the right, excuse me, on the left-hand side. DT is actually, that's not just a run by, that's a DT killing a base. So this nuke gets a decent amount of damage done. Actually, it just does damage to the Nexus, nothing more. But here's the thing: Dream will see the amount of Stargates. He realizes what's happening here. Has EMP, nice EMPs on top of all of this army on the right-hand side. But of course, disruptors will keep him back. But Dream has realized just what is happening here in this game. Again, those storms are going to be fantastic. He realizes that carriers are on the way. So what is he going to do? 2 additional factories. We have Thors on the way. Thors with high impact payload. They do a tremendous job of just knocking carriers from the sky with tremendous bias. Not bias. Anyway, but no, the bio's going to try to stem on top of these carriers. Carriers only have +1 right now. They're not anything more than that. And there's enough bio on the ground here to actually keep these carriers back. Meanwhile, of course, it does look like Stats is going to lose this base on the right-hand side. But of course, Stats, for his part, he has killed off 2 bases here of Dream. And this is where having 7 orbitals and 1 other command... Dream, you gotta lift that. 6 orbitals and 1 command center really comes to fruition. So now, of course, well, with the Ghost here, with the bio reinforcements, that does mean that Dream will be forced on back. Because we have Storms on 1 Marauder. Well, Marauder has massive personal healing, so that's not really going to get a whole lot done here. Now, Disruptor really is not going to get a whole lot. Dream's actually just going to stem on top of that. As we see the Disruptor Corps going away, but that Storm is going to be massive. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though, because there's not really a lot to defend. On top of that, we have a recall coming on in here, and Dream, that should force him back. No, he doesn't, yeah, he doesn't have enough bio. It is a little bit too low for him to really knock these carriers down. So what do we have now? We have 7 carriers in the sky, but we have Thors on the way. 1 Thor is done, more on the way, of course, but Dream's kind of running out of money for this. He doesn't quite have the money he needs to really build that Thor count. that he's going to be looking for. So it's just going to be Bio Viking for the time being. We have that one Thor. Doesn't need to go into high impact payload mode. But we're getting to the point here where I'm getting a little bit scary, or a little bit scared about the DTs, because yeah, you can scan them and they go down, but they blink on top, they do a lot of damage, and then you see Archons going in, and stats, he has what they call the Death Ball, the Golden Armada of the Shield of Ire is going to come on in here. +1 air attack, +1 air armor, +1 shields, all of these fun things. And the damage that stats has done earlier does mean that even if Dream has been greedy this entire game, even if Dream has just been expanding, losing those 2 bases there does mean that Dream does not have the army, or does not have the income, excuse me, to really affect the tech path change that he does need. So we're just going to see Dream's army here is going to get chased down over and over again. Stats with a 40 supply lead. And at this point, I don't know what he can do. Dream can do nothing whatsoever. GG stats. Here we are, spawning the upper right in the blue. Trying to take his skills and his talents to the winner's match. For the Afrika Freaks, he is Stats. And his opponent on the bottom side of the map, in the red, of course, representing Good Game Gaming. In the red, he is Dream. Now, did any of you ever play out? What was it? Don't forget our esports stream, something like that. The StarCraft Brood War of like pro gamer visual novel, or a visual novel thing that came out a couple years ago. Wow, Dream is certainly living his esports dream, and he does not even need a visual novel or a light novel or whatever no, visual novel, right? Interactive novel, something like that. Anyway, whatever it's called, does not need any of that to make sure that that does happen. As now we're just gonna have expand builds from both players here. No proxies, not yet. Although I mean, I'm sure Stats could drop down a proxy Stargate whenever he wants. But at this point, I feel like maybe Stats and Dream, they've shown enough wonky builds, all the wonky builds that they are comfortable with showing in this game. As well, you know, there's only so much, and there is the chance that Dream, right? There are 2 Protoss in this group, so there's a chance that Dream is going to have to play more TVP, whether it's in the losers match, whether it's in the final match, whether it's in the winners match. And of course, he's going to be hoping that it will be for the winners match. So, actually, it does look like he's going to proxy. Yeah, this is going to be a proxy starport here for Dream once again. So he's going to try to get some Hellion drops in. But Stats, he's going for a Stargate. And this time it's going to be a Stargate at home, which, while he may opt to build an Oracle, this means that there are going to be Phoenix out in time to deal with this, which is, of course, going to be very nice for Stats. Getting Phoenix does a very good job of dealing with his style that Dream has decided to go for. And it's really just up to Stats here to see whether he has the execution capacity to lift up enough Hellions to really make it worthwhile. Now, what also we're going to look at, and this is, I do like this. Dream, he's going for 4 Hellions instead of 3, which does mean that the initial Phoenix lifts are not going to be quite as impactful because, okay, so the way this normally works, right, is you drop 3 Hellions on into the main base, and then you try to get some damage done. It's somewhat impactful, but when you do that, when it's a Phoenix opener, the Phoenix, they just tend to they lift 1 of the Hellions and suddenly it takes 2 Hellion shots instead of 1, and it's not all that impactful. But with 2, of course, with 4 Hellions, I should say, lifting 1 Hellion does not prevent the damage. You need to lift 2. So Stats here, if he wants to kill off the Hellions, he's going to be forced to lift 1. Well, that means the other Viking will have to fire away. And actually, so the Phoenix, the 3rd one, is going to go on out here, and now Stats will find this immediately. And well, there we go. So we will have 1 Hellion lifted, but of course we still have 2 more, and that doesn't mean we're going to start to see some probes go on down here. But now with the Adepts here, with the other Hellion getting lifted, yeah, this is going to be actually, you know, getting 5 workers with this answer that Stats decided to go for. That's actually fairly good. That's a little bit more than I did expect him to get. But again, benefits of getting 4 Hellions instead of 3. But now we have Stats here. He's going to try to chase that medevac down, and he should be successful. I think he's going to find it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, medevac, there we go. He will find the medevac here. That will go on down. And now stats, the question of where does he go from this? It looks like he will go for Phoenix Colossus style here in this game. And this is a pretty cool option, right? Because actually I've been seeing a lot of Phoenix into charge lot styles rather recently. And then, of course, ESL Open Cup North America number 65 on Monday. Well, we saw we saw Haas go Phoenix into 78 2-base Glade Adepts. Or Glaive Adepts. And that was a pretty cool build. It smashed Cure, by the way. Cure went to take his third base, and suddenly he had 20 Adepts shading on top of him, and all the tanks were lifted, and it was just... I mean, Cure got smashed. It was a really cool build. But one thing I do want to talk about here is stats, the way he plays this Phoenix Colossus style. Because he plays it different than a lot of people. Notice we still have Phoenix on the production tab. There are 6 Phoenix on the map. Stats is going to go actually up to 8, 9, 10 Phoenix here, which is far more than your traditional Phoenix Colossus style. Traditionally, 5 Phoenix is the magic number. You don't really go above that because that slows down maybe your Colossus a little bit too much, your extended thermal lance a little bit too much, or your ground tech, whatever you decide to cut corners. But stats says, you know what? I like having a lot of Phoenix in this game. I think it's very good for me. It means that I have guaranteed lifts on top of all of the tanks when Dream decides to push, if he decides to push here. It means I have a little bit more damage potentiality here. It means I can clean out the entire bio army. And I can afford to lose a couple Phoenix and not be all that worried. So a couple Phoenix are going to go on down here, but half the Marines, I think, just died. How many Marines just died here? Yeah, 7 Marines just died, and we have 10 Marines on the map. So that was pretty much half of the Terran bio army just going to get snapped down by a bunch of Phoenix. And that does mean that's going to be rather difficult for Dream to move across the map at this point. And look at this, he still has energy to knock down a couple SCVs. So Stats playing a very good game at this point. And of course, he's still building Phoenix around that, right? He is still building more and more Phoenix. So even as he does lose a couple, it's not the end of the world for him. Remember, he's still on 7 Phoenix, even as he did lose 2. Now, of course, stats behind this, he does have his first Colossus out. Second one is on the way, just about done. Extended Thermal Lance, closer to being done than not done. But of course, the downside here, the corner that stats has cut to try to make this happen is his upgrades are rather late compared to what Dream is doing. His his double forge is going to be done at just around the time that +1 is done here for Dream. And that does mean eventually stats will be able to equalize the upgrades because stats is on 1 Evo or one eBay. Dream stats is going to have 2. So again, once he does have the time to snap to build that, well, he's going to have 2 upgrades. That being said, though, we're going to see some Phoenix. They're going to get trapped here behind the mineral line, but while recall is good enough, and 4 more SCVs do go on down. But there we go. Second eBay on the way. We have the armor on the way. Dream, I think he's starting to realize that he's not really going to be able to push on into this Phoenix Colossus style. That doesn't ever really feel all that great, because, of course, with the amount of Phoenix that are here, tanks get lifted. You need to build a lot more Vikings. Okay, just take the 3rd base. As these Phoenix are just getting so much value here. If you look at resources lost, I mean, Dream is over doubling the resources lost here of stats. And, well, that doesn't ever really feel all that great. And, of course, Dream, despite that, does have a army supply lead for the time being. But that is really just a result of how the production works between the 2 players. And you expect the Terran to have a upgrade lead or a army supply lead at this point because, in all honesty, the Protoss army generally is strong enough to win at a supply disadvantage for the majority, or for this phase in the game, I should say. Yeah, once you're at like 170 supply of 2/2 bio, suddenly that's not necessarily the case. But for right now, with how these armies do scale, Stats is not all that afraid. As I say that, actually, Stats is taking the army supply lead, and he's getting Warp Prism speed. That's very cool. But more importantly than that, we do have 3 Archons on the way here, and that tells us that Stats is absolutely getting ready to attack on into this. Charge is just about done. 1-1 is done in 20-30 seconds. I believe it looks like Chrono is being spent on that to equalize them out. And you don't build Archons unless you're getting ready for an attack. So look at this Sim City that Dream is built on up here. He is absolutely turtling up to all hell. He understands how much damage he has taken, and he understands that Stats, well, when he does that amount of damage, he is going to be interested in ending the game. So with this 4th base, with this missile turret, SimCity, I mean, this is a very difficult position for Stats to attack on into. And I would not be surprised to see Stats just kind of give up on this attack. But he did commit to it. He did build the Archons. He did build a lot of charge lots. And that does mean that he's going to be a bit reticent about not attacking on in here. Reticent about not attacking. Anyway, but Stats, I think he's just going to play a contain style for the moment. With this being happening, he's going to drop on into the main base. Do we have Storm? No, we don't. Okay. Yeah, he's going to drop some charge lots on into the main base. And, well, sit there, take another base maybe. So charge lots will find their way on in. There are plenty of missile turrets, but it's still a speed prism. So that means it will be able to get on in anyways. And the recall will not be in time. Yeah, the recall will not be in time. The warp prism does die, and Stats, well, he really can't get on in. That's kind of the issue he's dealing with right now. And Dream, once again, he's just playing this this mass-based style. He has built 2 additional command centers. He has 4 orbitals and a soon-to-be fifth one. Actually, that's probably going to be a planetary. But he has 4 orbitals. He's going to take that 4th base. And yeah, it's going to be a little slower than Stats is. But once again, we do see Stats. He's going for that Stargate. He's going for +1 air. He has a fleet beacon on the way. So it will be carrier tech once again here for Stats. And Dream, he's not aware of this just yet. Dream, once again, he's turtling up. He says, you know what? I don't really want to play this mid-game on the map style against what you got. It's going to be a little bit too hard. So now we will see the Phoenix and the Chargeless. They're going to find this command center, but there are tanks, of course, here to defend. There is, of course, +1 ground attack for the mech army. And all of that does mean that it's just difficult. It's incredibly difficult here for Stats to really take a head-up engagement. So he is not going to take a similar approach to what Parting did. I mean, we do have Charge done. We do have 2-2 on the way. We do have DT Blink on the way. But his approach to breaking this is just a big carrier ball, which I do actually kind of tend to be a fan of, right? It makes a lot of sense. You go Charge Up Blink DT, yeah, you can get good work done, but if the tanks are in position, it doesn't really feel all that great. But now we have a bunch of Zealots who are going to find their way on into the natural, and there's no wall here. So these Zealots can actually get a decent amount of damage done, and they will find... Actually, there's Bio in the mineralized. So these Zealots, they've been lured into their doom. They're not getting anything... Well, actually, they will... No, never mind. Okay. Yeah, Dream will pull stuff back in time. He's not going to take any bit of damage. And there's a bunch of Zealots getting lured on into their doom, which is a terrible trade for Stats, but you got to remember. Stats, he wants the supply, right? The Zealots are not really all that useful in a straight-up engagement anymore. And he wants the supply room for carriers, for stalkers, for disruptors, for things that actually are good in a straight-up fight. But now, for the first time in this game, we do have Dream getting ready to take an engagement. EMPs are going to be very nice. And the tanks are getting ready to move on out. Siege on up here. But rather noticeably, we do see a lack of Vikings here for Dream. He doesn't really have the Vikings he needs to really deal with these 3 Colossus and all of these Phoenix. Now, of course, now Dream, he will find this base from Stats and a Disruptor as well for his troubles. But now it's going to be, we're in a base trade scenario once again here, as a couple bases will go on down here. The army of Stats is not one that really Dream is all that interested in fighting in, as we will have to see a scan, maybe an EMP here. As did that command center, that command center will eventually go on down here. DT's doing good work for the moment. There we go. We'll get taken down here. And yeah, this base will go on down here because, well, they're Phoenix and they can shoot air to air. Now, Dream, though, he's going to take another base from Stats as well. But I worry that, honestly, Stats has said more economy for longer. Stats has a massive bank. So even as Dream is knocking out bases, and that's going to be nice, Stats has the far better resupply ability. And on top of that, Dream, he's still stuck on his ground army. Well, we have 2 carriers. We have 4 more on the way. There are no Thors on the way. There are no more Vikings on the way. This is just a pure bio-tank. And bio-tank against carriers, I'll give you one guess as to how well that one does work out. That being said, though, Dream for the time being does have a supply lead. And if he is able to catch this army of the Protoss, if he's able to catch and kill this army of the Protoss, is this base just going to go down to the Phoenix? Yeah, well, okay. That's unfortunate, but anyway. What do we have? We still have a bunch of bases because Dream, if there's nothing he's good at, he is good at building many, many bases. So, he still has 4 command centers. He still has 3 orbitals. I don't know, though. With all of these carriers that are on the way, Disruptor shots are going to be rather nice. I mean, this is a lot of tanks. But again, tanks don't shoot up. Man, imagine if tanks shot up. But this sieged up position is going to be a scary one. But again, it's only 5 Vikings. And these are +2 carriers, or soon to be +2 carriers. So yes, the tanks on the ground are going to evaporate everything on the ground here that Dream does have. But that Disruptor shot is going to be rather nice. And Dream needs every bit of anti-air. that he has, that he can muster here in this game. Because, well, these carriers are a terrifying threat indeed. But of course, it does look like Stats is going to be knocked down to 2 bases. Yeah, we have a couple DTs that will eventually knock these tanks down. But this base here from Stats is going down. So Stats has spent his bank, but so has Dream. Dream does not really have a lot of money, but it is Thor's on the way. It is Vikings on the way here. And it feels like maybe, just maybe, what is that? This random planetary for Dream is not going to last. But it feels like maybe, just maybe, here as Dream does have 4 bases. And Stats does not. Stats is really not mining. Feels like maybe, just maybe, Dream has enough. As the Interceptors are getting targeted down here, the Marines are actually winning this fight. EMPs as well. 765, 43. No Interceptors remain. And now Dream, he's just building 12 Marines at a time. He says, look, you don't have a lot here on the ground. My tanks can deal with that just fine. And now we have the Bios going to look to stim on in, but a Disruptor Shot will ward it away. Second Disruptor Shot going to go on in. That's not going to be useful either. But how many Disruptors do we really have? We have 4. That means every 5 seconds there's a Disruptor Shot. So there are 5-second windows where the Terran can actually hope to take a fight here. His high impact payload is going to start targeting down these carriers. How many interceptors? This is what we're going to stay on. 20 interceptors here are on the map. Bio is going to knock down a lot of these charge lots. And of course, there is no mech. Oh, that Disruptor Shot not going to get what it needs. One Disruptor does go on down. Now the Vikings are going to go on forward here. Bio's going to go on forward. Thors are going to stay alive. The tanks are going to be doing a fantastic job of bolstering the back line. But it looks like, actually just barely here, with the repairs, one Thor is going to stay alive, but there's just not enough anti-air. We have 10 Marines on the map, but they're not here at the moment. The Colossus is firing strong, knocking down the rest of these Marines. And now it's the carriers once again. They are showing their strength here in this game. Dream has more army supply to be sure, but he doesn't have the right army supply. That is the problem. Thors are on the way, of course, but they do not survive very long. They only have attack. They don't have armor. 23 Marines are the only thing that stands between between Stats and a victory here. And the 2 Colossus are going to be more than enough to deal with that. As we have a base trade, the tanks are going to do what they can to try to knock this down. But again, I'm not convinced that Dream is going to be able to win this base trade. Yes, he does have flying units, but there are 6 carriers on the map. As the 1DT is going to try to hold this. But yeah, there's going to be a scan. That's going to be totally fine. Meanwhile, of course, it's just a lot of Marines. It's just a lot of Thors in production here. And Vikings. Dream pretty much try to build whatever you can to try to make sure that this can happen. So the probes are going to get pulled. They should get targeted down. And it's going to be a recall here. Both players only on 2 bases. Oh, and we're going to see a mass carpet bomb on top of these Colossus, but it's only Marines, which does mean they're not going to trade the best, but they will go on down here. Neither player has any money, by the way. This is 226 resources per minute to, like, well, okay, never mind. This is 167 resources per minute to 0. 10 probes to 23. But luckily, Dream, he can float his buildings. He can go and drop mules and actually get some money. So now we're at the point. It is +2 carriers against 3-2 bio. As that tank will get targeted down. 26 Marines to 46 Interceptors. I believe that, I don't think that math works out all that great there for Dream. I think you want to be at least 1-to-1 to take this fight. But now, hey, we're going to see Dream try to take the fight here. Marines are dying at a faster clip than actually, Interceptors are dying faster, but there are just less Marines. So 18 Marines are left here. There's no energy left in these medevacs, but it's 16. It is actually, we're running out of Interceptors before we're running out of Marines. And here's the thing. Stats has no money. He has these carriers. He has all this army supply, but he cannot rebuild the Interceptors. Not really. Dream can. He has mules. He has 21 SCVs. He's mining off of 2 bases. Yeah, it's pure energy, pure minerals, but that doesn't really matter here. As the Thor, the Viking, they're firing strong. Dream, he's targeting down the carriers before he's targeting down the Interceptors. I don't know if that's the play, but it looks like it will be here as the final carriers are dying. Stats, he's gonna get knocked out. Dream, he's gonna take the game.